Welcome. Today you're going to be completing the second part of your Math Skills Lab. Recall yesterday you created a manual sketch of a data set given to you on graph paper. Today you will be completing a sketch of the same graph but using Microsoft Excel, which is a spreadsheet program designed to help make graphing a whole lot easier. In order for us to begin, first you will need to open up Microsoft Excel. To do this, click on your shortcut key to open the program. This will require double-clicking on the icon. This opens up the Excel workspace. Notice that on the top you have your menu options. On the bottom of the screen you have your workspace. This takes up the majority of your screen. Before you generate a chart, which Microsoft Excel calls a graph, you will first need to regenerate your data set. This means that you need to enter your data in the workspace. To do this, you'll notice I clicked on cell C3. Go ahead, left click on cell C3, and you will notice that it is highlighted with a black box. After doing so, type in the name of the first column, in this case, time in seconds. Notice as you type in the name of your first column, it also appears in the edit box right here. This is handy because if you ever need to change the contents of a cell, you can make that change in the edit box instead of in the cell itself. So let's try. Go ahead and change seconds to minutes. To do this, drag your cursor and highlight the word seconds and simply type in minutes. Because we're not using minutes, change it back to seconds. Press the Enter key and that will create your new cell. Also notice that what you wrote in the cell also blends into the second cell beside it. What you need to do next is make this cell, or more accurately, the column which this cell is in, column C, wider. To do this, take your cursor and place it on the border that separates column C and D. Left click, hold it down, and drag it to the right to your desired column width. You can do the same thing with your rows. So for example, if we were to go to row 3, click on the border, hold left click, and there you go. But we don't want to do that, so we're just going to undo it to bring it back to its original size. Now you need to input the data for this column. In this case, click on cell C4 and enter 0. Then press Enter. Notice after pressing Enter, your box automatically drops down to the next cell below. Now enter the next number, 1. This time, instead of pressing Enter, hit the down arrow key. You'll notice that it does the same thing and it takes you into the next cell. I suggest using this method as it's a lot easier to use the up and down arrow keys to navigate within your workspace rather than always having to use the mouse and press the Enter key. Continue entering your data. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that you are finished entering the data for your first column, enter the data for your second column. First your title, speed in centimeters per second. Notice, again, it travels over into the next column. Widen it Left mouse click, hold down, and drag to the right. Now enter your data: 0, 12, 24, 36, 48, and 60. At this point, you have created your basic data table. Now let's jazz it up a little bit. Take your cursor, left mouse click on cell C3, hold it down, drag it to the right, and select your entire data set. Let go now, and let's put in a border to separate each cell within our data set. To do this, move up to the border icon and use the arrow key for the drop-down menu, which shows you your options. In this case, we want to scroll down to all borders. This will separate each cell as shown in this picture here. Left click on all borders and voila! You have a nice separated table. To make this even neater, highlight your entire data set again and then click on Alignment, Center. Notice all the data is centered and looks much neater. If you want to put a dark border around the outside of your table, highlight your entire table again, go back to your border drop down, and click Thick Box Border. Notice you now have a thick box around your border. The last aesthetic addition that we're going to make is separate the title columns from the data columns. Left click in cell C3, scroll over to cell D3, and add some shading. To add shading, head on up to the Shading Fill Color icon, use the drop-down menu by left-clicking, and select a nice light gray shade. Notice before you click, as you drag your cursor over the colors, the box that you've highlighted earlier is changing color with your cursor. Find a color that you like. I like dark gray, and left click on your color. And there we go. You have now created your jazzy table, and you are ready to move on to create your chart. In order to do this, switch to the second tutorial.